feel like I've made a ton of mistakes over decades, and so to me that's really valuable, all those mistakes I made, because when I see other people making those same mistakes, yeah, I made that mistake already. You know, maybe I can help you out. I'm Mark Robb. I'm a coach with Reactive Training Systems, and I've been powerlifting since 2008, so 12 years. Weight training seriously for 41 years. I had been doing bodybuilding for years. I think I did 5 competitions until I finally had to make a decision whether to continue with that or not. I mean, at that point, natural bodybuilding or drug-free bodybuilding wasn't really a thing. And, you know, I decided that I wasn't gonna do what it would take as far as PEDs to continue further with the bodybuilding. And so I was just training just to stay strong and feel good, basically. I did a lot of different things. Like, I'd start with programs out of the magazines, and then I would adapt them to what worked better for me. And then I started actually talking more to my powerlifter buddies, that I'd started integrating that stuff into my training, and I pretty much was, you know, writing my own training for decades. At that point I was trying to build a business, and so that took over. Then I just got to the point where I needed some goals, because it's hard to just keep training without any goals. Well, a friend of mine said, let's go get in this local meet. Went and did the local meet. Well, I ended up with a couple of state record deadlift, and I forget what else. Anyway, then I was bit. That was 2008. And that was about age, yeah, somewhere around 50. You know, I thought, I'm old enough now that I can't mess around with a long learning curve. I need to figure this out now. And that's when I signed on with Mike. This is when RTS was just becoming even a thing, you know. I heard him on a podcast. He just seemed like, you know, somebody I'd really like to work with. And that was like the best decision I ever made. Man, it was like stepping on the fast track. It changed my entire training paradigm, and things really took off. Well, of course, Mike's hard to keep up with, as you know. Just when you start getting used to one thing, and this is the way we do it, then he comes up with something better. And, you know, that goes into the rear view mirror. You know, and it's still that way. It's still, you know, that's one thing, like we were discussing, and that we love about Mike is, like, he's never content. He's always questioning, well, is this the best way? Is this the best way? And he's always trying to solve that puzzle. So things just keep evolving and keep getting better. And as a lifter, I've developed a better sense of intuition and so forth about what serves me best and so forth. And somewhere along the way, years ago, I just asked myself, what's going to give me the best progress today, like right now? Is it going to be doing what's programmed? Is it going to be spending the day doing some kind of rehab stuff, or maybe it's to go back to bed and sleep another 10 hours? I feel like that's the real value in a coach, you know, because they're on the same learning curve, you know, as far as when to push, when to back off. You may be thinking this or feeling this, and I've been there, I've done that, I know what you're talking about, here's what helped me, you know, try it and see if it helps you. I wrote that article about, you know, change your paradigm to maximize gains, and that's been a recurring theme. You have goals, you know, you want to win at a meet, or you want to hit these numbers. And so you're so focused on that you lose focus of what you're really trying to accomplish, which is get, you know, as strong as possible, as fast as you can. The process is the overarching theme. What happens at meets is just the result of the process. Primarily the camaraderie, because I think it takes a certain type of person and a certain personality and a certain mindset to do this. You know, who wants to go and lift heavy stuff over and over and over and over and over again for fun? You know, I've got a lot of like really good friends, people that I really respect in this sport, and that's been the most rewarding, you know, just pretty much the friendships, you know, like hanging out with Tony Harris in Sweden, and I admire the hell out of Dave Ricks, and being able to, like again in Sweden, to compete the way our attempts were going and the way the platform was running. You know, we were going one right after the other, pretty much for all the squats, and not the bench, because my bench is not great, but I was going squats, I was going, then he'd go, I'd go, he'd go. And then deadlifts, he'd go, I'd go, you know, through the whole, and that's awesome, you know, because then we're like cheering each other on and everything else, and it's the best. But I think, again, it goes back to the process, and that the results are a product of the process. And that's what I try to tell young lifters like that have, you know, really good potential. They're strong, and they have the drive, and they have the motivation and everything else. It's like, okay, well, you're not going to get from where you are to world champion or national champion or whatever in the next 6 months or the next 4 training blocks or whatever. The guys that have done that have gone through the process. And it's, like I said, it's not just a physical process of getting stronger. It's a process of developing your mental toughness and the mental attitude and the skill in competition. And here's a big one, a real big one, that I see over and over and over again. Everything's good, everything's great, they're making great progress, and then bam, they get hurt. Now what? You know, they're freaking out, oh my God, is this gonna ruin my powerlifting career? Am I ever gonna be able to walk right again? All this stuff. And a lot of people quit at that point because they just don't, they think that's it. That's the end of their powerlifting career. They got hurt. Well, and that's another thing, you know, like I love talking to these high-level masters lifters. You wouldn't believe the laundry list of injuries. And they just don't quit. They just don't quit. They figure out, you know, it's like, okay, well, I was here, now I'm here. How am I going to make progress from here? And that might be, well, I'm going to walk 20 yards today because yesterday I couldn't walk at all. And then the next day is, I'm going to walk 30 yards. Well, eventually, because they don't quit, they're back up here again. And so that's a big deal, you know, to me, that these younger, very promising lifters with a lot of potential see a more or less straight line from where they are to their goals, and it's not a straight line. It's never a straight line. I think you got to have a different mindset to where, again, it's like, what can I do to stack up a win today? If I'm injured, then if I do rehab and feel a little better, that's a win. Be happy. When you get hurt, I understand you're upset, angry, whatever. Be there for a little while, that's fine. If you need to be there for 2-3 days, whatever, and be pissed off, angry, upset because you're hurt, fine. But get over it and start trying to make progress, stack up a win, and then put another win on top of that, and another win on top of that, and another one. And you start stacking up wins, and that changes your entire paradigm. Like I said, even if you're in pain and you're hurting and everything else, if you've had a win at the end of the day, be happy. And you know, we were talking about gratefulness. How grateful do you think I am at 60 and a half years old for even being able to do what I do? I mean, I thank God like every day for this. I'm extremely grateful. And that's another thing about, like I said, about camaraderie and hanging out with high-level lifters. They're not grumbling, they're happy. You know, they're happy to be there, they're happy to be doing it and doing what they're doing at that level, at that age, or whatever age it is. So all you've got control over is yourself and your own mind, and your own mind drives everything. And the only thing you can do is whatever you can do at that moment, right? If you go into the gym and execute your training to the best of your ability and your head is in the game and you make progress, that's a win. Be happy with that because you did everything you could do with what you know, your knowledge at the time, and that's it. What else can you do? So worrying about the rest of this stuff is pointless. When things get really difficult, that's when you're learning. And so that turns even the difficult, bad times into a win. And I didn't say this earlier, but I had a bad back injury. I mean, to the point where I couldn't lift weights at all for 5 years. And when I got back, I couldn't even squat the bar to parallel. I couldn't get to parallel. I started squatting the bar as low as I could squat it, and then I started adding a little weight on the bar. And you know, I remember when I got up to, it took me weeks to get up to 135 pounds to squat above parallel. Well, then I was like, couldn't figure out why I couldn't go below parallel. And I remember I went in one day and I had 135 pounds on there, and I kind of got like angry about it and just like dropped real hard, and I heard stuff snap in my low back. What happened was a bunch of scar tissue tore loose and snapped, and all of a sudden now I can squat below parallel. And it was sore for a few days, and then I started, you know, went back to adding a little bit of weight each week. Yeah, I think just start where you're at with what you've got. Keep moving forward, because if you're moving forward, if you're progressing, then it's not possible for you not to reach at least a lot closer to your goals, right? If you're always making progress, it's not even possible to fail. It's all the same stuff. You're in business and your business is not going good and you go bankrupt. Just accepting where you are, this is where I am right now. I'm hurt bad, or I'm in pain, or I'm bankrupt, or whatever it is. Just having the self-discipline to do what you need to do to get yourself out of those kind of situations or overcome those kind of obstacles. You know, like the saying, the obstacle is the way. Absolutely, the obstacle is the way. You don't learn anything without any obstacles, but you start running into obstacles all the time and figuring out how to get around them and over them and through them and everything else. Now you got something. The value in powerlifting to me is who you become, even if you don't ever compete. Like I said, if you never compete, if you become that champion, where it's going to radiate out into all the rest of all your aspects of your life, that's the gold to me. That is absolutely the gold. It's not the championships or anything else. It's none of the external rewards, in other words. It's all the internal rewards are the gold.